Keith Kellogg, who was appointed by US President Trump as a special envoy for Ukraine, is convinced that it will take months, not years, to start peace talks. He said this on Fox News: "It's months, not years, and I would like to think that we could have something in the short term," he said. Kellogg also said that he is confident in Trump because he is a good deal maker. He is convinced that the United States has a good and reliable plan to start negotiations. When asked about the introduction of further sanctions about the Russian Federation, Kellogg replied that this decision remains with Trump because most people should be confident, in fact, that he knows exactly what he is doing. He knows where to put pressure. He will create leverage for both the Ukrainians and the Russians, he emphasized. Also, Kellogg stated that he seeks to find a solution to the war within 100 days of Trump's administration. Also, as U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio assured, Trump's administration seeks not only to end the Russian-Ukrainian war, but also to prevent it from happening again in 2 or 4 years. Kellogg's plan involves freezing the front lines through a ceasefire and a demilitarized zone. In exchange for this, Russia will receive limited sanctions relief and full sanctions relief only after signing a peace agreement. The plan should become the U.S. official policy on a ceasefire and the negotiating settlement. The Kellogg plan does not provide Ukraine with officially to renounce occupied territories, but in return should take place exclusively throughout diplomatic channels. Ukraine must recognize that the reintegration of these lands will require significant diplomatic efforts when after Vladimir Putin leaves office. Kellogg also says Ukraine's NATO membership should be suspended immediately in exchange for a comprehensive peace agreement with security guarantees. The plan also says that the future U.S. aid, likely in the form of loan, will be continued after the negotiations, and the U.S. will arm Ukraine so that it can defend itself and stop any future aggression. Meanwhile, Keith Kellogg, the U.S. President's special envoy for Ukraine and Russia, also told Reuters in an interview that the administration favors holding presidential and parliamentary elections in Ukraine this year if a ceasefire with Russia can be reached. Also, he says that the U.S. has not ruled out holding elections without an end to the war. He said that most democratic countries hold elections even in wartime. I think it's important that they are held. I think it's a good democracy, Kellogg said, and that's the beauty of a strong democracy. Also, he was quoted by Reuters, and Reuters quoted Kellogg in the interview with the Associated Press. Meanwhile, President Zelensky said that Kellogg would soon arrive to Ukraine because he and his people will be in Ukraine very soon. It's important for them, and we have agreed with President Trump that the team will start to agree more. That how this will be. There will be phone conversation and online contacts live in the nearest future. President Zelensky says that he had signals that the U.S. will be in the Ukraine, and also last time the date of the visit was postponed due to some legal issues. Also, the president of Ukraine added that he does not know how exactly the date for which Keith Kellogg's planned visit is planned. It is important for us to know when it will happen. I think all this will happen, he said. At the same time, Ukrainian President Zelensky expressed optimism that Ukraine is now closer to peace. Quote, "We are fighting, we are holding on, and we are doing everything to bring peace closer. And today, more than ever in these 3 years of war, we are close to it." Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky also says that Putin is afraid of direct negotiations between Moscow and Kyiv. He said in his interview with Associated Press, quote, in his opinion, this is his loss, his weakness. He is pushing the old narrative that this is a war between the West and Russia, because admitting that he is losing to Ukraine is unbearable for him, Zelensky said. Also, according to President Zelensky, Russia does not want to end this war fairly. President Zelensky said, quote, "They want to end it by destroying Ukrainian freedom and independence. These are not pathetic wars, but it's their goal and desire. But they did not achieve their goals. They did not achieve the main goal. Also, Ukraine stands thanks to the Ukrainian people," President Zelensky added. In the meantime, The Times estimated that a total of 700,000 troops would be needed to support peacekeeping forces of another 200,000 troops preparing to deploy for another 200,000 recovering, and the force would need to be large enough to deter Russian attack. And that would mean they will need to be capable enough to act quickly and repel any kind of invasion. The defense editor Larissa Brown wrote at the Times. She adds that the British and French troops would be a deterrent force rather than a peacekeeping force, as they would be on Ukrainian side. The European troops also would not fight on the front lines, but would act as a stabilize the situation and ensure the Russian forces did not dare to attack Ukraine again. At the same time, U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio, during a meeting with Panamanian President José Raúl Mulino, issued an ultimatum to reduce China's influence in the Panama Canal zone, warning of possible measures in the absence of immediate change. Marco Rubio stated that the current situation in which the Chinese Communist Party retains control and influence over the Panama Canal is a direct threat to its operation and violates the treaty on the permanent neutrality of the canal. Rubio informed Panamanian representatives that President Donald Trump has approved a preliminary decision that the current situation of influence and control over the Chinese Communist Party over the Panama Canal zone poses a threat to both the canal itself and is a violation of the treaty of the permanent neutrality. Also, the U.S. Secretary of State also made it clear that this status quo is unacceptable. Marco Rubio noted that in the absence of immediate changes, the U.S. will demand that measures be taken to protect its right under the treaty. The U.S. cannot and will not allow the Chinese Communist Party to continue its effective and growing control over the Panama Canal. During a press conference, Trump told reporters that the U.S. would take the Panama Canal back, or something very powerful will happen. Quote, China controls the Panama Canal, even though it was given to Panama, not to China. They broke the deal and we are going to take it back, or something very powerful will happen. Trump also has not rolled out the use of military force over Panama, which has drawn criticism from the both allies in Washington and Latin America. Also, in the meantime, at Senate hearing last week, U.S. officials said that the dispute over the Panama Canal could lead to fines and restrictions on Panamanian flagged ships entering the United States ports. On the other hand, Panama already agreed to allow passage of U.S. warships through the Panama Canal, which the U.S. has not forced out of controlling, and to withdraw from China's One Belt, One Road initiative. The decision came after a visit to the country by U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio, who criticized the Panamanian government for cooperating with China, according to Bloomberg. That's all for today. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, stay with us on YouTube, and glory to Ukraine.